Peace and blessings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Asia, where our goal and mission is to educate and empower the women of our communities and the girls that they are raising. I am your host, Asia Nasir Shahid. We have a very special guest this evening, someone I have been wanting to get on the show for a long time, and she is super busy, but I would love to introduce her and just give you a little background about what our show is about and who we have as our guest. So our guest tonight is Dr. Shaakira Abdullah, also known as the Halal Sexpert. She is a sexologist with a master's degree in human sexuality and a family nurse practitioner with a doctor of nursing practice degree, and she is passionate about providing sexuality education to the Muslim community from an Islamic perspective. So I know a lot of people are going to be very interested to know what that perspective is. Dr. Shaakira Abdullah currently works as a full-time nursing professor at Widener. Is that how you pronounce it? Widener. Tells you how much I go to college, right? Widener University, and will earn a PhD in human sexuality in 2023. So as you can see, when I said we've been trying to get her on this show for a while, you can see why, because she's a very busy doctor. So welcome, Dr. Shaakira.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for having me. I'm so happy and honored to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I know you've been busy. You're also a mom of 2 children, which we didn't mention, but you're also a mom and a wife. So you have a very busy schedule.
Well, now I have 2 children. But yes.
So what I want to get right into, let's just get right into it. As I mentioned before, this show is all about educating and empowering the women and the girls that they're raising. And you have a very unique platform. First, I want to ask you your title. Your title is one that definitely piques interest. You walk around, I don't know if you have it with you, but you walk around kind of like with a logo that you have. And you have been dubbed the Halal Sexpert. So tell the audience that's watching, what does halal mean, and what does you being a sexpert encompass?
So halal means just permissibility, right? Halal means permissible things that Muslims are allowed to do. So when I say I'm the halal sexpert, I'm geared towards Muslims. So I cater to a Muslim population. So I cater to educating Muslims about sexuality with, from an Islamic perspective. So when I say I'm the halal sexpert, I'm an expert in sex specifically for Muslims.
Wow. Now, being that you say halal meaning permissible, things that Muslims can do, that is permissible. Can non-Muslims also benefit from what we're about to discuss in the programs and workshops that you do? Can non-Muslims benefit?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just that I cater to that audience. So there's certain things in sexuality. So sexuality is very broad, right? So it's not just limited to vaginal penetration and just the act of sex. So I cater to the Muslim population. So there's specific aspects of sexuality that a non-Muslim may not find valuable. And there's different aspects of sexuality that a non-Muslim may be interested in that a Muslim is not.
Wow. Can you give us an example of what that would be, just in case someone was like, well, I'm interested in that and that may or may not benefit them? Give me an example of what that would look like.
So a full disclaimer. So when it comes to sex, there's only 2 things that is considered haram or something that we cannot do. So something that is forbidden, like it's strongly forbidden. Like you cannot, as Muslims, you should not do these things. There's only 2 things in sexuality. And number 1, no anal sex, and no sex during menstruation. And also, only sex is allowed within marriage. So only between a husband and a wife.
Right.
So Allah wants you to enjoy your spouse when you're married. He wants you to, engage, have a sexually fulfilled marriage. So I also always counsel couples and singles who are getting ready to get married that these are the only 2 things that you cannot do with your partner. Like everything else, enjoy your spouse. So as the halal sexpert, I educate Muslim couples and singles about how to, enjoy their current or future marriage.
Wow. So have you found that to be actually something that has been eye-opening for a lot of Muslims, that they have this idea that there are certain things that are, even as married couples, impermissible for them, and you have taught them that it is permissible? And then how do you do that?
Well, they just have to get out their mind, because sex is a super taboo topic, and a lot of Muslims think that comes from Islam, and that does not come from Islam. That's not from our religion. Like, Islam is a very sex positive religion, meaning that it encourages you to enjoy each other, when you're married, to enjoy each other as a partner. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are many hadiths of how he encouraged foreplay, for example, with his companions. He encouraged his companions to, kiss their wives. Aisha radiallahu anha reported that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to suck on their tongues. He used to fondle his wives while they were ministrating. So different things like that is like, wow, like this is a part of our religion. This is something that I should learn more about. This is something I should learn how to please my wife and please my husband and enjoy each other, and enjoy these amazing, beautiful, pleasurable bodies that Allah created. Like, we didn't have to have this pleasurable experience. So it makes you also be more grateful to Allah by learning more about it.
Wow, that is amazing. I mean, I was a child where my mother was very open about having that conversation, with me and my siblings. My father was not. My father was the one that was, not comfortable having that conversation. My mom was extremely open, and we literally talked about every aspect of sex. But obviously teaching me from a Christian background. But that was also, my mother very, very much stressed that we should wait until marriage, and foreplay was something that you should have and things like that. Do you find that a lot of parents don't have that conversation, and why don't they have that conversation?
So that is something also that the Halal Sexpert is for parents and youth as well. And educating parents and teaching them how to have that conversation, because a lot of them don't, because they come with that baggage, this cultural baggage that sex is this bad thing, this dirty thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's haram before marriage and period, in the discussion, when it's like, no, you need to have conversations. Like, I have a course called Halal Sex Talks, which is plural, because it's not just this one birds and bees conversation that needs to happen. It's a multiple conversation. It needs to be an ongoing two-way type of communication with you and your child.
What have you seen as the results of some parents who, had that baggage and now they're taking your class? What has that been like for them, and what has it been like for the children?
They have a lot of aha moments where they didn't realize that sexuality is so broad. So sexuality education, like I said earlier, it's not just limited to, vaginal penetration and just intercourse. It includes learning about our bodies, learning about puberty, learning about menstruation, learning about how to make a ghusl, learning about so many other aspects of, just being a human being within sexuality, and how to take everyday moments, I call them teachable moments, and flip it into, a conversation starter where you can have a deeper and impactful conversation with your child, so that they can walk away feeling, empowered and able to
Mm.
make the right decisions when you're not there.
You bring up a good point, because that was going to be my next question. I know a lot of people, especially when they brought sex education into the school, a lot of people thought, oh my God, you see, that's going to teach children to go and have sex. Do you find that parents have had that mentality, that they really was hesitant to take your program or workshops because they felt by having that conversation with their children, it would encourage them to have premarital sex?
Yes, so they have that baggage as well, and research actually shows, so a lot of studies have been done, and it actually, talking to your children about sex actually encourages to delay and, like I said, walk away empowered. So when they're in those risky situations, they know how to
Mhm.
respond. They know how to make the right decision and the best decisions for, themselves, their Lord, their relationship with the law, and bringing that also into the conversation, which they're not going to get from schools. They're not going to get that from Dr. Google. They're going to, I want parents to empower parents to be able, so that their children get it from them.
Wow. And when you've done those workshops with them, with the parents and with the children, have you found that the children were able to open up in a way that they couldn't without the mediation of your program?
So my program is specifically just for parents. I do a separate, so I have another platform called Love Beyond Love, and we do sexuality education for Muslim youth. So that one is just for youth. So I haven't done a program with like the parent and the child together,
Mm-hmm.
but I do teach through the parent for the youth, and then I talk to the youth directly. But in both instances, initially when I was just doing the youth work, I
Right.
started this parent course because all my youth were saying, Dr. Shaakira, I can only talk to you about this. You're the only one who I feel
Wow.
comfortable talking about my body, talking about these different challenges that I have every day. Like, you're the only one. And I'm like, oh, subhanAllah, like it's only one of me. So that's when, I started the Halal Sexpert platform. Originally, it was just for parents. It was just for parents for my Halal Sex Talks course. But then I had all these like married and single friends like, okay, well, what about us? And it was like,
They just expanding your program.
I started doing, fun, like pleasurable type workshops for singles and couples. And now I just consider myself someone who, provides sexuality education to the entire Muslim ummah, whether you're a youth, a parent, a single, a married couple. So I have a little something for everyone.
So let's dissect that then for everyone who might be new to, Dr. Shaakira and being the halal sexpert. So you spoke a little bit about, and I remember, with the Jessica Cares program, you came. We were one of the first when you first came out with Love Beyond Love. We were one of the first that was like, yeah, come and talk to our girls, and we had to get permission from the parents to understand that we were going to have a very intimate conversation with their daughters. So I want you to dissect the different parts. So you have a youth program. You also have a program specific to parents, and then you have one for single and married couples. So if you can just one by one, what do you teach with Love Beyond Love? And step by step, how what different things do you teach in these classes?
Okay. So, well, Love Beyond Love, that is all about marriage prep. So that's actually something that I partner with my husband. So he had, they have a male perspective, they have a female perspective, and they have both of us kind of teaching these workshops side by side about marriage prep. So different ways to, practice abstinence, but also how to prepare for marriage. So it's not just about that. So it's expansive. We answer questions. We educate them about their bodies. We educate them about their future spouse's bodies. We educate them about how to have a healthy marriage and how to communicate and different important aspects of marriage that they may not have thought about. A lot of times they just think about the wedding. So, and having deeper conversations about what it means to be married and to be a good husband and a good wife. And then the parent course is called Halal Sex Talks, and that one is all about educating parents on how to have open and honest conversations about different sexuality topics while also keeping their children connected to God. So I teach
Beautiful.
them how to talk about a broad range of sexuality topics in an age appropriate manner. So all the way from the ages of 3 to 19 and over.
Wow.
So what can they handle at 3, right? What should you be starting off with, and how to build on that foundation and keep building as they get older, so that it's not a smack in the face. Like all of a sudden, us as Muslims, we don't talk about sex and their bodies at all, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's time to get married, and it's like a shock. And
Right.
some Muslim women suffer from what we call vaginismus, which happens when they try to consummate the marriage or have intercourse for the first time. Their muscles actually contract, and
Contract. I know.
cannot do it because they have this so much anxiety of being this good girl. You can't, sex is bad, this dirty thing, and it's been drilled into them. And now it's time for you to enjoy your spouse and have this permissible relationship, and your body can't handle it. Like you
Right.
can't do it. And that's not a healthy relationship that we should have, with sexuality. So I teach them in that course, and it's a self-paced course where parents can take it on their own time and take it just piece by piece, because it's a lot, learning about all of that sexuality content and then how to deliver it in a way that your child can best receive it and walk away empowered. You're going to talk to a 3-year-old versus different when you talk to, a 16
A teenager. Right.
And it's a different tone. Like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you play with them for 7 years, and then you teach them for 7 years, and then you befriend them for 7 years. And I use that with my framework to help us change our tone, because it's different from when they're, you're teaching them.
Mhm.
My son is 12. I'm gonna talk to him different when he turns 15 and 16, because now you want to be autonomous. Now you want to be, you're this teenager. You want to be grown. Yes, she's preparing for it to be an adult. So I can't
Right.
talk to you the same. You're not gonna, have the same benefit if I do. And
Right.
then for my singles and my married couples, I have a bunch of different fun, like pleasurable type workshops. So we have cliteracy, where I teach women about their bodies, about different orgasms they can experience. And this is all like subhanAllah. I learned something new about our amazing bodies all the time. And Allah is so merciful. Like, it's just amazing how much pleasure that you can experience within this relationship with with your spouse, and how to build with them and build this stronger connection with them. So that's all about with cliteracy and how to experience that. And then I have But What That Mouth Do, which is about that is a fun course, again, for ladies only, which is about foreplay, fellatio, and fun. So that I go through, and also how to communicate. So it's not
Mhm.
just about fellatio or oral sex and that type of thing, but it's also about learning how to use your mouth, and communication wise, to get your desires and your wants, needs, and desires across to your spouse. Because a lot of couples struggle with that. Like, I don't know how to
Yeah.
tell them that I want this.
Mhm.
Well, let me teach you, because that's important. Like, your pleasure is
Right.
and how to put that at the forefront for both of your pleasure is important.
Mhm.
And then I have another one called Talk Dirty to Me, where that teaches you about how to dirty talk and how to sext and kind of be flirtatious with your spouse while they're away, and also when you're face to face and face to face interactions at different arousal levels. That one is recorded, so you can watch that together, you and your partner.
Oh, okay.
It's a good one. So we're working on doing more recorded courses that way, so that both. So if you're married, you and your partner can benefit from it. Just the live courses are usually for women only.
Mhm.
But I record it privately with just myself, and I may have like a male volunteer. That way, you can feel comfortable. You and your partner can feel comfortable watching it. So
Wow, that's amazing. You have yeah, I mean, it has so expanded since, I mean, I think we started when you started Love Beyond Love, that was like around 2017, right? Somewhere around there. So
yes.
look at how much your program has expanded. Um, I will say, like, I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm smiling, not because not because it's not something that, I mean, you and I have actually had conversation before where that type of conversation is not something that I shy away from, and it's not a conversation that clearly you shy away from. But many especially in the Muslim community, they do shy away from. So I have to be honest, like when I see some of your posts, like What That Mouth Do, I was like, oh, she bringing it. So how has that been? Have you received any pushback? Have you received anything like, oh, you're going too far, that kind of, have you, and how have you responded to that?
Well, I haven't gotten it to my face recently. It's so funny you asked me that. Recently, like last week, one of my good friends has showed me, and she did this, out of love. She showed me this Instagram group. So this Instagram group that shall remain nameless. Somebody posted something about um different halal, like different Muslim sexologists kind of doing this work. And I was called out. And they just kind of went in on me. And I was really I was like, this is how
Your
people
feelings was hurt.
I laugh about it now, but she had to like take her phone, like, all right, that's enough. She was like, I just wanted you to bring this to your attention so that you
Mhm.
know how some people love you and some people feel like you're taking it too far. And I was like, well, I'm very careful. Like, I know I can't do what I have a lot of colleagues in the field, like a lot of colleagues in the world of human sexuality. And
Mhm.
of course, some things that they do and some topics they talk about is like, I can't talk about that. Like, that's not
Right.
for me, that's not for my population. So I'm really good at screening things, and I'm really good at discussing things in a manner that is, I still have a sense of modesty, and I still know, like, I'm giving you the information, but in a way that I feel is best. And I'm sorry if you think I went too far, but a lot of it is just out of ignorance. A lot of, like I said,
Yes.
a lot of Muslims carry this baggage that sex is not supposed to be talked about out loud. It's supposed to be private between just you. Yes, it's private in a sense, but still some conversation needs to be had, because a lot of our marriages are suffering. A lot of our children are struggling, not having getting this at home, and now they're going out and committing zina, or they're going out and experimenting with different things because our imams are not talking about it, our parents are not talking, and it's like, I'm doing it. I pray that Allah continues to guide me and help me with doing this work. But I try to do it in the best way, and sugarcoat things as I can in the best way. But you still need the information. And I don't, like, for example, I have a lot of hard limits. I don't do any nudity. I don't do, even trying to, even in my workshops, I'm not going to show you, I use puppets. I use not graphical or like pornography or anything like that. So I understand that at a character of Islam is modesty, and I do uphold that. But I don't know. So I'm just not for everybody. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I think it comes with, I'm trying not to take certain things personal, because I think it really comes from just the way you were raised or your cultural background, and having this mindset that this is Islam. You can't be religious and spiritual and be sexual too. Like you can't do both. And it's like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was like he was that.
Right.
So I always try to bring those hadiths to the forefront, to educate, that this is a part of our religion, and this is something that you should be comfortable to talk with your spouse about. Like, this is someone who's able to, this closeness that you have with them is on a whole nother level. Like this, you're like a garment to each other, Allah says. And a garment, covers, is your most intimate, touches the most intimate aspects of you, you're physically, emotionally, socially, everything. So you need to be able to feel comfortable with this person. So I help couples do that and kind of establish that bond and that connection that a lot of marriages are lacking.
Yeah, I can see that, because I know for a fact, a lot of women, with men, it's kind of hard for them to pretend that they were pleased, obviously, for obvious reasons. Yes. But for women, it's very different. And a lot of women have suffered in silence in their marriages, pretending that they're being pleased and don't know how to have that conversation. Have you had a personal experience where there was a wife who was going through that, and going through your program, her and her husband were able to bond closer, and she was able to tell him in a way that didn't offend him?
Absolutely. Because what a lot of women don't know is, like, he wants to please you. Like, he wants you to have he thinks he's killing it. And he's doing that thing because he's like, oh, I did my move on her. She was screaming. She was doing that. Like, and it's like,
and she's sitting here like,
and he doesn't know. So just being able to communicate that in a way that is, again, remembering that, he wants what's good for you. He wants you to have a pleasurable experience. He wants you to have fun. And just showing him what you like and telling him what you like. And even I teach women, even if you don't want to just say it with your mouth, you can do show and tell. And I show them different ways where you can use your hands and do. Wow. So it's a lot of different ways that you can, build that relationship, so that eventually I want you to be able to talk it out with them. But just how to get started.
I think that is amazing work that you're actually doing. And I think it's because of, as you mentioned before, coming from a culture where modesty, and it's not something that we shy away from. Obviously, Islam, one of our greatest foundation, especially for the Muslim woman, is modesty. So I think it's very difficult for us on a public platform like social media to see some of the topics when they've never been raised that way, to hear those type of conversations, or they're in a culture or raised in a culture where sex is dirty, or it is just for reproduction, So I think that the work that you're doing is absolutely amazing. And it really does. I always believe that in marriage, you keep it fresh and sexy. That's, and that changes even with age. It changes. People's desires change. People's needs physically change. When a woman goes through menopause, her body changes. When a man is over 40, his body changes. So, have you, when you said that your husband is also in the program, do you work with men that as their hormones change and their performance change? Do you work with also men, or does your husband work more with the men?
So my husband works with me with Love Beyond Love. He's not really that much involved in the Halal Sexpert, but I do. In December, once my schedule opens up, I am going to do couples counseling. So I won't um, counsel just a man by himself, but I will
Right.
counsel him with his wife. So I will counsel him, together as a couple. I've done workshops in person, and it's so funny. Like the men like swarm, like the men like come back to me, like, oh my God, like I have so many questions. And even on Instagram, like I'm not just for women. I make that known
Yeah.
that it's for everyone because they have questions, and I'm here to educate them as
Yeah.
well. And they're just like, I'm trying to please her, I don't know, like it's just and I love being able to answer those questions in a very like matter of fact, like this is what it is, and this is
Hmm.
educating them about Allah's creation and different techniques and skills that they can try. And I think it's just needed, and I'm happy to be able to provide that service to all Muslims.
Do you travel and do some of your work, or is it because it's virtual, anybody can take it?
So yeah, I've been traveling since August. So I went to Texas. I went, I'm in Delaware, so Delaware, New Jersey. I'm really like in the tri-state area.
Hmm.
But since COVID kind of slowed down, I have been
Yeah.
traveling again. I'm doing that, yeah.
Yay. Well, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. Is there any particular like organizations or any type of, that you have been wanting to, that if we're going to put a plug in to say, look, I've been wanting to work with a particular, audience or group, who would that be at this point?
I think I'm there. Alhamdulillah, I love, of course, my Black and African American Muslims, but I'm for all Muslims. I've educated so many women and so many couples from all over the world and all over different ethnicities and races who, are Muslims, we have the same values and beliefs. So being able to educate them and focus on them, because when I first got into sexuality, in the sexuality world,
Hmm.
religion is like the worst. Like the religion is, there is no, they're like, what are you doing here? Like a lot of my were intimidated just by my presence, because
Yeah.
a lot of them are members of the LGBTQIA community, and and to them religion is like terrible, because a lot of them, when
Mm.
they came out or whatever happened, they were shunned, and they were looked down upon, and they were just x'd out. So they just have look at religion
Right.
as just a dark, dark, dark place. So, and that's what Shaitan wants. He wants was his ultimate goal, and he kind of won with them.
Right.
So me being able to still maintain my belief system and have conversations with them and educate parents, because some parents have children who are struggling with this, and saying,
Hmm.
the worst thing you can do is just kick them down and like give them to Shaitan and just say, you know what, I'm done with you. I don't want nothing to do with you here. It's like, no, don't do that. Still invite them to pray. Still invite them to the masjid. Yes, you still want to have conversations and helping them, but this is the way. This is how Allah can shine light on them. Open up their hearts, soften their hearts, and help them see. Get closer to
Guide
Allah,
them. Yeah.
and help guide them to what is right. So the worst thing you can do is just shun them. So I was
Right.
able to have discussions like that with my colleagues, and they were like, wow, like and they were able to take from me too. So I think just being kind and just being how Allah wants us to
Yeah.
be. We have family members who are Muslim who celebrate Christmas, and Allah hates that. Like He hates shirk and being told, saying that He has a son. And we love our mothers and fathers and some of those people
Hmm.
who are Christian. So we can do that. If you have a child who's struggling with that, you can help them
With
through
their
that.
sexuality. Exactly. Exactly.
Hold them in close
Exactly.
and pray with them and do different things and not just kick them out. Um,
Exactly. So I want to ask you, like you're talking about this, you're talking about the youth, you're talking about, children who were shunned. I know your backstory. What made you decide to start Love Beyond Love and then have it grow the way that it did? So the beginning, the infancy of your work, which was Love Beyond Love. What was your why? Why did you start the organization?
So for me, I was born and raised Muslim. My parents wanted to make sure that, Islam and Quran and Arabic was a huge part of my foundation. They sent me to Egypt over the summer, everything. So I I loved it until I got to like high school. And it was just on this, it was so beautified and like on this pedestal for you to have this boyfriend, right? So in the music I listened to,
Mm.
TV shows, the movies, all of that, it was like you got to have this boyfriend, this companionship, because marriage was like, all right, yeah, one day I'm gonna get married. Like that's not.
And it's so far away.
It's
Yeah.
like it wasn't beautified to me right at the time. So long story short, 2 months after my high school graduation, I found out I was pregnant, and my parents were hurt and like really devastated because they were like, we did our best with you. Like I'm the oldest, and we put you in all these schools, we sent you overseas, you was learning from the, I don't want to put it out there. Yeah, like Aisha Prom was she was my personal scholar in Egypt.
Wow.
This is when she was just coming up. But yes, I love her.
She gave, just so you know, she gave me my shahada. Yeah.
And I have this, like, I wanted to wear niqab when I came from Egypt because like, I was wearing a niqab at the time. Because that's how much I loved it. But this social influence and me not having anyone to talk to about, no, Shaakira, like you're amazing, you're beautiful. Allah wants marriage for you. Like you deserve a good husband. You are worthy of marriage. Not these boys out here, not these little boyfriends out here. You deserve more than that. I didn't know that. Like for me, I didn't hear that. It was like, I'm not pretty if I don't have this boyfriend. Like and now I feel like I needed that validation. And it led to, me having my son. So anyway, my parents they supported me through school. They didn't shun me. Alhamdulillah. They were hurt, but they didn't shun me. And they still helped me through it. And alhamdulillah, Allah guided me back. And when I became a doctor of nursing practice, we had to do this huge study at the end. And I met this amazing sexologist who was doing sex education in like barbershops and hair salons and churches. So I was like, oh my God, I have to do it. That shit. Like it's so many girls out here who's struggling like me. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna help you. So I took one of her curriculums, I infused it with Quran and Sunnah, and got it a few different scholars and imams to like look at it, make sure it was like legit and everything. And then I implemented it in a masjid in New Jersey with young girls between the ages of 13 to 19. And alhamdulillah, it worked. It was they walked away empowered, they were excited. They, we did surveys at the beginning and the end, and they were able to delay sex for a long period of time.
Yes.
So it was perfect. I loved it. And then so once I graduated, but then my school, I went to Rutgers University. They had wrote an article about me, and it kind of went viral on Facebook. I wasn't even on Facebook at the time. And so many imams and scholars and community leaders were reaching out to me from all over the world, not just America, like all over in like the UK, and Australia, and I think Texas and California, everywhere. Like, all right, you need to come to our masjid. You need to do.
You need to teach this right here. Yeah.
Put on this pedestal. Like, I wasn't really ready for it at the time, but it was just like, wow, subhanAllah. So my mom was like, well, what are you gonna do now? You can't just stop at the study. Like, so that's when I started the nonprofit, and I was trying to figure out, still feeling through my way, like with the youth and doing those workshops wherever I could. And alhamdulillah, Allah just guided me to still work with the youth, but also, other members of the Muslim community as well.
Who were struggling. Wow. And like I said, you're in just a matter of the last 4 years, you have grown. I mean, and you have a niche. You have a niche. And, they always, although I know that wasn't your purpose, like this is going to be my business, but at the same time, it is, it's a business, and you really have created a niche around, teaching the Muslim community something that for many years, decades, centuries, it's just a topic that is almost like, no, we don't talk about that. And with sex being so prevalent now in school, on TV, and people and our children have access to it on their phones.
Yes.
It's like, why are we not having this conversation? They're going to get it somewhere. It's what information do you want them to get at this point? So do you find that some of your parents, when they do eventually talk to their children, they're shocked at how much their children know that they didn't know that they knew?
Absolutely. That, and then also them learning about which age appropriate content, like what do I talk to my 3-year-old about versus, I have a 7-year-old. what topic should I start introducing, and how they're able to build on that knowledge as they get older, and how it's so, it's such a benefit to them, because it's actually harmful when you're not having those conversations, because they're learning about things, like I said, they're either learning from other people. For our babies who between 3 to 7, they're very in a vulnerable stage, we're at risk for sexual abuse, and not talking to them and teaching them about the body safety rules and about, the proper names of their body parts puts them at, a high risk for sexual abuse. So, and you want to be able to build this comfort level with them so that they feel comfortable to talk to you about that, and know how and understand that this is not right and this is not my fault. Like, this is wrong.
Mm.
If you don't talk to them about that, they're not going to know, and they're going to know something's not right with it, but they're not going to know it's sexual abuse that I need to definitely let someone know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the fact that you start as young as 3. And I know people are extremely shocked when they hear you saying that. We talk about 3, but, after now you giving it context and talking about the vulnerability that we put our children, because we do hear of children being abused at 3 and 5 and 7, so, this is a absolute opportune time to, start that conversation and that comfort level, as you mentioned, of having talks about sex and body parts and, things like that. So it kind of eases, I would assume, it eases the parent in having, as their children are changing, they have the different conversations, but with that open communication policy. What are the most popular questions that parents ask you when you're talking to them, and what are their biggest fears?
A lot of it is them not feeling competent, because they feel like, my parents never talked to me about sex and sexuality, so they never really saw it modeled. So now it's like, how am I supposed to teach them when no one ever taught it to me? And some of them don't even know the information. And I have grown women where I had to teach them about menstruation and what that means, and the process and what is happening in your body, in a way where you can talk to our queens about it, and in a way that they look, and even our boys too, because this should not be, menstruation shouldn't be looked at as this dirty thing. And I have moms who, when they're menstruating during Ramadan, or when, anytime, and they're not praying, they hide to not let the boys know that something is wrong, like something, that not that something's wrong,
Wow.
the reason why they're not praying and the reason why they're not fasting. Yeah, because they're ashamed of their ministry. It's like, this is why your child is here in the first place. If it wasn't for your administration cycle,
Exactly.
yeah, so they should understand that this is a gift from Allah, and this is amazing. A blessing. So educating our boys about it too, because we're raising them, inshallah, to be husbands and fathers of daughters. So it shouldn't be looked at as this dirty thing. And even especially our women, we don't want them to be embarrassed or to, be ashamed of their own body part. Like, this is or process that happens once a month. We need to be able to educate them about what's happening, and empowering them through that. So other aspects, I said, of sexuality and having real conversations. A lot of parents are shocked. They think that, I don't know, in their mind, they think having these conversations is like a serious thing. We need to sit down at the table. We need to sit and talk.
We don't have a conference.
It's like, no, it's not a conference. They're like, could we just Zoom with you? It's like, I can't just give them it all in one, they're like, we could do multiple weeks. It's like, no, this is not a college course. This is life. This is life.
Right.
You can use every day. Like, for example, you could be in a car, or they could be listening to a song, and you could be talking about the lyrics. There's probably so much sexual stuff in there that you can have a deep conversation about modesty, about how we, talk about women, how we talk about our bodies, how that makes, what do you feel about that? What do you think about that? What do you think that he means? Having a deeper conversation just about that, about a movie scene, about a commercial. They have commercials for condoms now. It's like, okay, that may protect you from STIs and HIV and pregnancy, but is a condom going to protect your relationship with the law? Is that going to be able to protect your emotions and how you feel? Like, having deeper discussions with our kids like that about, that they're not going to get from school. So I really try to empower parents so that there won't be, hopefully, situations like mine where, I experienced this. So I'm trying to stop that, and I pray that Allah accepts it from me.
I mean. So I have another question. I know your husband.
Mhm.
And you know, when we originally, you know, when you originally started Love Beyond Love, and you were teaching the classes, and you came and you know worked with the girls of Jessica Cares and everything, and you went to the other matches and taught. It initially was just you.
Mhm.
How did that come about where now your husband was, you know, and I know Abdu, and he's pretty a laid back kind of dude, you know, when you meet him.
Mhm.
From the outside, and when you get to know Abdu, he's more obviously outspoken, but
Mhm.
when people just meet Abdu, you think he's really quiet, you know. So how did that happen, that Abdu is talking about something like that, you know, with you, and being so open about such a private conversation?
I remember the first time we worked together, we did a workshop together. It was for a masjid, and they wanted to have a workshop with not just girls. They wanted to have, you know, boys involved too. So they asked me if I felt comfortable. I was like, yeah, I do. But I said from their perspective, you know, if I have teaching to, you know, young girls and boys, they need to see themselves represented, right? They need to be able to, because that's how youth are. They need to be able to have, you
Right.
know, I trust that you've given me this information. Like you've been through this, or you've been through life. You know what you're talking about. I trust you. You talking, you know. So I needed him for that. So I taught him, and he came with, you know, his own experience, and me kind of giving him the education and the lessons and how we're gonna, you know, kind of go through this lesson. And he, you know, killed it. So alhamdulillah, he did, you know,
Good.
that. And it was just like, well, alhamdulillah, we can continue this so that, you know, our Muslim boys can benefit from Love Beyond Love as well.
Well, he seems like he enjoys very much the TikTok videos that you make for the single and married couples, you know, with the talk dirty to me and the sex thing. He seems like he really enjoys those videos. How does he feel about, you know, doing that? Like, what's his perspective from coming from a man's point of view? How does he feel about, you know, presenting that type of topic in the way that you do? That's so different from what everyone's used to in the Muslim community.
He's so, like, I guess, laid back with it. He doesn't say, he's not like one of those brothers like, you know, I don't want you, you know, talking about this. Some things he does. Some things he does have limits. Like I remember one time an imam had wanted me. I was doing a conference for married couples, and he wanted me to have a session. The imam wanted me to have a session with just me and then the husbands. So he was like, nah, like you can't.
He was like, yeah, scratch that.
You can't. So, you know, alhamdulillah, I respect my husband, and I, you know, his word is
Right,
it. So it's just like, okay, well, maybe we could just do married couples instead. Like I could do
right.
a session for married couples, but you know, that wasn't going to work. So I do, you know, of course, respect his opinion, and definitely go to him when I'm doing different workshops and get his opinion about things. Because I think it's a, you know, a protection for me. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I love what you do. I often laugh. Me and a mutual friend of ours, Dr. Khadija, we were
Yes.
talking, and she mentioned, she said, sometimes when I see what Dr. Shakira posts up, she's like, I'm blushing. She was like, I'm blushing. And she's married. So,
Yeah.
you know, so I can imagine, like, you know, the parents who come from a culture who they're not used to, they're probably like, whoa, really taken back. So I am
No,
actually, you know,
I'm gentle with that. I'm not. I'm not
yeah.
gonna be ripping the cover off.
It's
Um,
actually fun. I laugh when I see the video. I'm like, oh my! I was like, oh, she is so bringing it. She's so bringing it, and but I love it.
yeah, I try to bring it in a playful way, so that
Hmm.
it's, you know, it's comedy, but it's some realness to it,
Yeah.
to really help, you know, open a conversation, you know, look you to reflect on yourself and that type of
Hmm.
thing. But like, I'm not vulgar, I'm not cursing, I'm not being
Right.
snooty or nothing like that, because like I said, that's the modesty, and that, you know, there's certain limits, boundaries that I have with doing this work.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to say, from seeing you from the infancy stages of Love Beyond Love and seeing how you've grown. And I remember we had that conversation, and I think I asked you, I was like, well, how do you think people are going to respond to it? And you were like, well, you know, I'm willing to kind of take that chance. I think it's necessary. And so to see you stepped out on faith, knowing that it was definitely a necessity, and you pioneered something that hasn't been done. Um, I don't think has ever, at least I haven't seen it, you know,
Mhm.
in the way that you're doing it. So I'm so proud of you, and I pray that Allah continue to make you successful, and, you know, continue to allow your program to grow and expand, so that way all children can learn the value of abstinence, saving themselves for marriage. And, when you have that marriage, exploring all of the beautiful things that you can have with your spouse. I love the fact that you're definitely teaching that. So for those that are watching, because we've had a bunch of comments on here. We have some youth, like college students watching. They're like, yes, I'm listening. We have men here making comments. They've left comments. So, for those that are interested in, signing up for your Halal Sex Talks, if they're parents, Love Beyond Love, with 2022 coming up, what do you have coming up for the youth as well as the parents and single and married couples?
So for the parents, I'm continuing my Halal Sex Talks course. The new thing, so it used to be live, where I used to do cohorts, and I did about 5 or 6 cohorts of just parents and going through the 6-week course, and we used to meet live. But then, I have parents from all over the country, all over the world, really. And so it's different time zones. So make it easier for parents. So now it's self-paced, meaning that I recorded each lesson specifically for my recorded audience. So I'm talking to you, I'm telling you when to pause it, when to do some work, and then come back. So that is in a 6-week format. So I have that for parents that they can sign up now, and it's a rolling admissions, so you can come in whenever and start the program, continue it. We have a busy life, and we have to pause for a minute, come back to it. So you have that accessible to you. And then for our youth, we're getting back to, we paused a little bit with Love Beyond Love, and we're in the process of doing, we did some rebranding to be more marriage prep, to incorporate that aspect of it in addition to delaying sex. So we will be doing more workshops similar to, so I have a bunch of different lessons. I was writing this big curriculum, but I think I'm going to just do the different lessons as workshops, so that they can get the information and then still build a curriculum for like masjids and communities, so they can implement that in like their Sunday schools and stuff like that. From my singles, every month I want to start doing a new workshop, so a new live workshop, so that way they can attend the live, and then creating a recorded version of it, so that way the men can benefit from it, the couples can benefit from it, because it'll be a personal unrecorded session where it's just me, so you don't hear participants and their stories, and their, and my workshops are very engaging and interactive. So things happen in there that we don't want the whole world to know, so we just I'll redo the workshop where it's just me, so I'm able to give you the information in a fun and engaging way, but without still protecting the privacy of my participants. So you'll be able to access me easily with the recording, so that way you can purchase the recording. You don't have to wait to be in the live. You can just have it for you, and you and your partner can have a movie night and watch this and engaging, and try out some new different skills, learn some new things, and have fun while you're doing it. That's important for me. Huge to have fun while you're learning. Did I miss anything? And that's pretty much it. So then you can access me, through Instagram. I'm the Halal Sexpert. There's a link in my bio that goes to my website where you can access all my products. So like I said, right now we have the Halal, the parent course available now, and then Talk Dirty to Me is available as a recording. The other ones, Cliteracy is going to be available by like December 1st. By Black Friday, we're trying to get Cliteracy out. So Cliteracy teaches you all about the female body, all about her clitoris, all about ways for her to have amazing different orgasms. So not just vaginal orgasms, but clitoral, nipple, oral, all different types of orgasms. Allah has created, our bodies are like amazing, and we can experience pleasure in so many ways. Learning about that, and women learning about that, about our bodies, like which are the favors when you deny sis, like this is what Allah gave you. Learn about that, so you experience the bringing up learning that information to be able to share it with your current or future husband is very valuable. And even for husbands, because like I said, a lot of men come to me like, I never learned this, I didn't learn about this. I thought it was just about vaginal penetration. Like I thought that like she was just getting an orgasm just like me. It's like 75% of women don't have an orgasm. So it's like you need to learn about the female body and about the clitoris, and how it's not just that small part. It's huge. So learning about how to engage the whole thing. So
And
clitoris.
even foreplay is something that a lot of people just like, hello, like a man can, because he's visual, he can see and he's ready. A
Yeah.
woman needs a little more finessing,
Yeah.
and a lot of men don't understand that, so yeah, it's
Even
very
how,
true.
sex is a emotional experience just as it is a physical experience a lot for women. So being able to give those, like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, don't go into your wives like an animal. You have to, come with her with kisses and sweet words. So the sweet words is what I really talk about. Will talk dirty to me, and how to, engage with her mind
Right.
verbally, whether through text messages or, different, and learn how she likes to be talked to. Is important. So talking about
Absolutely.
that literacy, and then, but what that mouth do is live in December. And we're going to decide if that's going to be recorded or we're going to continue to just offer that live every few months.
Hmm. So you did have events that were kind of like engaging women. One of the things was, so when what you were just talking about, stimulating, your partner, whether it's, whispers, saying nice things. But one of the classes or one of the activities that you did a while back, this was pre-COVID, was the women learning how to be sexy, with their bodies.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so I was just wondering if you was going to be doing that class again.
Oh, like the dance class. Yes.
Yes.
I was actually just testing out one in Philly, and I didn't like it as much as the one in Jersey, because I was like, let me see if I can find one. Philly is like closer to, like
Delaware and you.
in Maryland and Virginia and all of
Mhm.
that, and it's still closer to Jersey. So I thought it was a nice medium, but I think I'm gonna have to go back to North Jersey because it was
Wow.
a different experience with the choreographer, and she just gets me, and she understands what, I'm not just trying to have you have a great dance to do, but I want you to be able to build confidence. I want you to walk away feeling like, yes, I got this. I can apply what I
I can
learned.
be sexy for my
I
husband, right?
didn't just learn to dance, but I got skills now. Like I got confidence. Like this is my time. That's what I want them to walk away feeling. So yeah. So yes, that is coming too, inshallah.
All right, because I'm gonna be looking for that. That's just wonderful. So once again, with all of these upcoming activities, I know the viewers are probably like, well, where can we find her? How can we reach her? I may have questions that they may not have felt comfortable, asking here in public, because we are talking about some things are private.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where can they reach you? How can they get a hold of you?
The best way is through Instagram. So my Instagram is the Halal Sexpert. Like I said, my website is there, and I'll give it to you so you can post it, I guess, underneath this. So they can have the link, and all my products are there. I'm even going to start, like I said, coaching. I don't know if I said that, but coaching for married couples also starts in December for the year 2022. So towards the end of December, and then for all 2022 and so on, for married couples and singles also who want coaching around sexuality, and even parents. But then I'm also going to have like mini sessions, like if you just want to pick my brain and you just want to ask me a bunch of
Right, ask questions. Yeah.
30 minutes, that will be another opportunity for you.
Great. So Instagram is the best place for them to get a hold of you. And please go and follow her.
The link to my website. Yeah.
Okay. I'll post that up so that way that everybody, will have it. But, I'm looking forward to seeing 2022, what you're doing. I mean, 2021, you blew up and, amongst COVID and everything is virtual. Like, I mean, the Halal Sexpert just blew up. And so for those of you who don't know, and this is the first time they are being introduced to Dr. Shaakira and her nonprofit organization, Love Beyond Love, if you would like to make a donation, which it is a 501c3 tax exempt nonprofit organization, your donations are tax deductible. So if you would like to make a donation because you love the work that she's doing, you want her to continue to keep these programs sustainable, how can they make a donation to your organization?
So with Love Beyond Love, we have a website. That one is lovebeyondlove.com. And the Halal Sexpert, the website is coming, but the Shopify platform is through my Instagram.
Perfect. So lovebeyondlove.com. If you want to make a donation, that particular program is specific, and that's a nonprofit organization specific to teaching the youth about preparation for marriage as well as abstinence, right? So please, please support the work that she's doing. I run a nonprofit myself. Funding is so important. And if you love the work that Dr. Shaakira is doing and you want to see her continue, funding is going to be so important, because these children, they get the supplies, they get worksheets, and all of those things, it costs money. Those things cost money. And so it's definitely needed. So please support, Dr. Shaakira in the work that she's doing. And please go and follow her on Instagram under the Halal Sexpert. You will not be disappointed. Her videos are just amazing. If you want a good laugh, a cute laugh, if you want to show your spouse something cute, like, look, I'm interested in this, follow her. She has a beautiful way of sharing this message. So I just want to thank you so much, Dr. Shaakira, for coming on the show, sharing the wonderful work that you're doing. I implore the followers here to please go and follow Dr. Shaakira. Is there any final thought that you just want to share before we close?
I would just say, don't be afraid. Like, come and learn. This is all, Allah says, to, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. This is a way of you seeking knowledge about his amazing creation, about, your bodies, about your future spouse's body, your current spouse's body, and just so many other sexuality topics that, in the world that we're living in. So I think my Instagram page, I always try to bring a topic and apply it to all the different platforms and all the people who I'm talking to. So whether you're a parent, a youth, a single, or in a married relationship, there'll be something for you. So I always try to educate through that platform. And if you like what you see, then you can take it a step further, where you can get more from me through my courses.
Wonderful. Well, there you have it, audience. There you have it. This is Dr. Shaakira, the Halal Sexpert, just providing such valuable information to our community. And again, that is what our show is all about. Conversations with Asia is all about empowering and educating the women of our communities and the girls that they are raising. So these are the type of topics that we talk about that is so necessary, although at times it may be uncomfortable, but it is absolutely necessary. And there's a saying, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, so. And this is one of those things where we have to have these conversations, so healthy relationships can be something, and healthy communication can be something that becomes comfortable for many that right now they don't find that to be an easy process. So thank you once again, Dr. Shaakira. May Allah continue to bless you in the work that you're doing and increase you and preserve you in every way. And your family.
Ameen. And same to you. Keep doing this work and bringing, us here and uplifting us and uplifting the Muslim community and inspiring us. So keep doing your work too. Alhamdulillah, I love it.
Thank you. Ameen. So for those who just chimed in at the end, this is a live show, so you can actually go back and watch the replay here live on Facebook, but we're also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel under my name, Asia Nasir Shahi. You can definitely go on and you can see the video. And if you subscribe to our channel, you can see all of our past episodes. We're just as amazing. And if you hit the notification bell, which I highly suggest, you'll be notified of our next conversations with Asia, and you'll be given the reminder, so you won't forget and you won't miss it. Thank you, everybody, and for tuning in. And thank you again, Dr. Shaakira. We'll see you on the next episode of Conversations with Asia. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings to everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.